Actually, Albert Kahn was published widely in Europe and in Germany.
Yeah. It really speaks to the fact that Detroit really was kind of the center of the U.S. for a long time, right? I think.
Makes me wonder what he would think today
I
of
know.
it.
I think he'd be sad, wouldn't it? But on the other hand, probably, I don't know without knowing this as a fact, but I would imagine that the Kahn buildings, there are more of them than anyone else's that have survived. But on the other hand, I'm looking at my statistics. He did over 1,000 projects for Henry Ford.
He was the architect of Henry Ford.
Incredible.
There's no
1,000
question about
projects.
that. Right.
Some of us don't even do 1,000 projects in our lifetime.
And that's my point. He lived the life of 5 architects.
Yeah,
You know, just the residential portfolio alone is outstanding.
When was he able to really grow the firm then in his lifetime?
Well, I think, you know, he was a brilliant man. He was a genius, I would say. And he was in the right place at the right time with the burgeoning auto industry and all the invention and great ideas that were coming out of Detroit at that point in time. And I think that innovation still exists in Detroit. People don't recognize it necessarily today, but maybe we will in a few years. But I think that he then was really part of that movement, part of that growth, and served his clients that were doing amazing things. You know, they were really inventing the middle class.
Yeah,
Detroit was the birthplace of the middle class.
Yeah. So when was he able to actually bring in others into his firm?
Well, he you know, I think you mentioned he worked with Mason and Rice for about 6 years, and then started his own firm with Nettleton and Trowbridge, and Trowbridge went on to be dean of the School of Architecture at Columbia, and he then went on his own, and really at the 1903, 1904 time period is when he really started growing, and at one time during the 30s, he had as many as 900 people in the firm.
Oh, really?
900 person. That's extraordinary.
An amazing fact is during the Depression, the Russian government invited Kahn to help them build the industrial backbone of the country. And he did over 500 factories in 3 years in Russia.
500 in 3 years.
Right.
Wow. We're talking about Albert Kahn, the architect, and how his legacy lives on today. He passed away when?
1942.
42. And now your firm, how big is it?
We have 225 people. And it's varied between 200 and 300 for probably 30 years now.
It mentions on your website, albertkahn.com, that's Kahn, that you're a linear organizational structure firm with you have individual flexibility, improvement, opportunity, and that it's not just talk, that it's real.
It absolutely is. Well, we're architects and engineers, and Albert was one of the first architects to bring engineers into his firm. And that allowed him, I think, to do a lot of the engineering achievements that are credited to the firm, because his brothers were engineers, actually. And he had 3 of his brothers that worked with him during the early stages of his career.
Interesting, keeping a family business going, especially in this profession.
Are there Kahn members today, Kahn family members today?
There are no Kahn family members left in the firm. Bill Kahn, a mechanical engineer, was the last one to retire, and that was in the late 80s.
Oh, wow.
So it's been quite a while.
When you look at the breadth of his work, is there anything you can take, even when you compare the manufacturing plants to residences, is there anything that is very distinctive that it's a Kahn design?
Oh, I think anybody can almost look at a Kahn building and know it came from Albert's hand.
What are you looking for?
Well, it's attention to detail, and very definitely all of his work, even the industrial work, had that influence of the arts and crafts movement. The handmade elements. I mean, look at Hill Auditorium on the U of M campus.
It's a favorite for both of us, yeah.
With the tile work and brickwork. Actually, we were involved in restoring that.
Yes, you were.
Just a few years ago. But all of his buildings, even the industrial, had a little bit of extra attention to detail that is clearly Kahn work.
Yeah, they really do stand out. I mean, if you go around and you were to show someone the buildings just on the campus, for instance, you'd see there's an elegance to. He really understood proportion, elegance, even when it was just a repetitive facade, so a lab-type building. It is still, the proportions are still wonderful. My favorite building, in fact, one of my favorite buildings of all time is the Graduate School, Rackham. And I think it has the most beautiful staircase. So actually, I don't even call it a stair. I call it the most beautiful transition vertically in any building that I've experienced, because it's not just a stair. It's a procession. And it goes up one level, then it changes, and it goes up another level. And on the way up, you feel almost like you're in the Vatican. These beautiful wide stair with ledges and urns, and you turn the corner, and then the stair moves to a different location, and you go up in a different. To me, it's you sort of come to the top of the building without even knowing that you've walked 4 floors. Beautiful.
Damian Farrell of Damian Farrell Design Group, and Damian on Design each week on the Lucy Ann Land Show. You're listening to 1290 WLBY. Our special guest this week in our series of the people who have shaped our state of Michigan is Alan Cobb with Con. And Alan, just to illustrate, really, I think Con's work and how it continues today, and the work that you are doing as an example with your firm. You recently traveled to Iraq.
Yes, I did.
And you're going to also be doing a penguin exhibit at the Detroit Zoo.
Well, that sort of illustrates the variety that Albert started the firm with. You know, he designed the conservatory on Belle Isle at the same time that he was designing the Highland Park plant for the Model T for Henry Ford. And we're doing a lot of healthcare work today, which was the kind of bread and butter of Con. Con did Old Main at University of Michigan back in the 20s. And then we have unique little projects that are special challenges, like the penguin exhibit at the Detroit Zoo. And we are having a lot of fun with that, actually. It's going to be a real special place.
When will it open?
It's going to open in 2 years, actually. Okay. We're in the construction document phase of the project.
So what's it going to look like? Can you give us an idea?
Yeah.
Well, it's being informed by Antarctica. And in fact, the director, Ron Kagan, has taken 2 trips to Antarctica in the last couple of years and just has amazing photographs of the drama and awe that location possesses. And we're trying to develop an architecture that kind of conveys that message. And it's going to have the deepest dive for a penguin
they're going to have
in
fun.
the world.
You know, architects will talk with the people that are going to be living in a space to know what they need. Did you get
How do you
to know
communicate
a
with
penguin?
penguins?
Well, they have Dr. Doolittle on stuff. I heard he's a consultant.
Actually, penguins are really very curious creatures, and they like people. You know, I think really it's the fish that you're carrying that they really like. But it's as far as the building design goes, it's like designing a refrigerator. You know, designing an environment at 37 degrees. Yeah. And trying to be sustainable with it, trying to be energy conscious.
Suck energy out of everything to keep it there, right?
So it's a uniquely challenging building type, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing, penguins must have a blast. I mean, every day is a formal event, right?
The story goes back to the late 19th century when an innovative and passionate architect named Albert Kahn founded his firm in 1895. His legacy continues today. What a pleasure talking with the Director of Design at Albert Kahn. He is Alan Cobb. Great having you on the show, and I just can't imagine what the world would have been like, our own world here at the University of Michigan, the Ann Arbor, Detroit, if Kahn had not come here from Prussia.
Well, thank you, Lucy Ann.
Yeah. It's a real placemaker and a shape maker.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great getting to know you.
Thanks for joining us.
Damian on Design each week on the Lucy Ann Land Show. Again, our special guest today, Alan Cobb with Kahn, and Damian Farrell from the Damian Farrell Design Group. You're listening to Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY.